Good morning. Welcome to Beyond the Bell, streaming on News 9, News on 6, all the News 9, News on 6 platforms, and Mitchell Talks. Glad to have you with us this morning. It's been a couple of weeks, and it's been a couple of weeks since I actually got to see this guy because he was kind of under the weather the last time we spoke.
Yes, I'm glad to be back. I had a little bit of dental surgery, and it literally pained me to talk. So I was not in good shape a couple of weeks ago.
There ain't no such thing, as they say in Lindsay, of a minor dental surgery.
No, not at
It's
all.
all it's all no bueno. Okay, it's just not good stuff. Glad you're
100%.
feeling better.
Thanks.
So
Thanks.
we have really a unique program this morning. This is a unique stream, and I'm not
Right.
sure I've got everybody, in the right panels. It's just so many different skill sets and programs and opportunities this morning. It's about special skills for students that are is unconventional a word. This is different. It's unconventional teaching.
I mean, students who have learning differences, and this is just an example of how specialized education has become in the time between when we were in school and now. It's just a lot more specialized. So it's an exciting conversation to have, as we've talked about since we started doing this last spring. We just sort of are taken aback in a positive way every time we have one of these conversations about the opportunities that are out there for schools, students, teachers, and parents.
Well, their conversation just not going to find any place else. It's just kind of what we've been specializing in these streams, Ryan, for like 2.5 years now, since COVID showed us how
Right.
to do this.
Right. The long form conversation is, as you like to say, and I appreciate this. We're in the learning business, and so we're going to ask a lot of questions that may seem basic to people who are in the know, but we want to learn about this so that the audience can learn about this.
So you can learn. That's why we present these, and we're glad to do that. This is going to be a different conversation. So, well, let's not hesitate. Let's delay any longer. We've got two panels of folks with various skill sets and various schools and programs. And let me just introduce our guest from right to left. Jamie Luallen, good to see you this morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be here.
And you are the president of the School Board Association there at Trinity, correct? Trinity
Yes,
School?
sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
It's good to have you.
Position for several years, yes, and we're grateful for this opportunity.
Kelly Dupuis, did I hit it right, Kelly?
You sure did.
Okay. With Special Care
morning.
Incorporated, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for
And
having
Renee
us.
Porter over. We've known Renee for a long time with the Henry Scholarship. She's the navigator over there with that organization. Renee, good to have you.
Hi, thank you so much.
All right, Ryan, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you. It's just a reminder to the audience. This is brought to you, Beyond the Bell is brought to you by the folks at Every Kid Counts Oklahoma. And every kid does count. And what I wanted to do is, because we're in the learning business, is we'll just start from top right here. Jamie, if you would just tell us about the Trinity School at Edgemere. Who do you serve? What does the school do? Just let us know what the Trinity School is all about.
Sure. Just for a 10-second little brief history, Trinity has been around forever. We were just another small private school in Oklahoma City. And about 10 years ago, the Board of Trustees noticed that the children who had some learning differences that happened to be in our school building, we were having huge success working for them. So we made a monumental switch about 7 years ago to really dig in and see if we couldn't make a difference in just children with learning differences, so that all of our faculty, all of our administrators, that was where their heart was at. And so that's what we did 7 years ago. So it's taken us a few years to get where we are today, but now that's all we serve. We serve children with dyslexia, with sensory processing issues. We serve some children on the autism spectrum. And that's what our school's made up. Our faculty has a heart for these students, and that's the children that we see every day in our building.
Right. And what can parents expect if a student attends Trinity? Let's say that one of their children has these learning differences. What's sort of different about going to Trinity?
Well, I'm a parent of a child that's on the spectrum. So I lived this. She's an adult now. And so I've lived this, and I wanted something like Trinity for my daughter. Most children with learning disabilities, if you've been involved in this situation, spend most of their day in a lab setting. They're not available. They're not able to join the clubs like most students. They certainly couldn't play athletics. And a lot of them come to us they've been bullied or made to be feel different all of the time. So this gives them a chance to live what we think is just a normal school life. They come in the building, all their learning is done in the same classroom. They transition with their peers. They're not pulled out for any kind of lab settings. They're able to participate in every club. We meet the child where they are. We have a Trinity learning plan. We put modifications in place. Our teachers follow them. We do benchmark testing on our children every quarter. We make sure they're making progress. And if they're not, we get in the classroom. We find out maybe it's an instructor that is not, working with the child or meeting their modifications. Maybe we need to adjust their learning plan so they can move forward. We're all about the children meeting where they are, putting them on a plan and helping them move forward. And we stay on top of it. And another thing that we do at Trinity is we aren't pigeonholing our children. Success looks different for all of them. And what we hope to do is get the most out of every student and make sure that they're successful in whatever that path may be, whether it's going to college or a career tech program, or going into a program where they learn to live independently and have a job, out in the public sector. So we look at success different, and we make sure that we are meeting each child where they are when they come to Trinity.
So it's a learning process for everybody. Everybody's learning. The teachers are having to observe the children. The children are having to
Exactly.
what they're wanting to get out of it.
Right. Right.
Kelly, you're with Special Care Inc. Tell us a little bit about
sir.
Special Care Inc.
Well, we are a school for children primarily with special needs. So we opened in 1985, and it's a pretty incredible story, but we may need more time for me to tell you about our beginning. But we're an accredited private school up through kindergarten. What makes us very special, so special that we're the only school of this kind in the state of Oklahoma, is that the majority of our children have special needs. And so when you come to special care, the majority of our children, you're going to meet students that have Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism, things that don't even have a name, but they're creating big challenges for our children. But our minority population are children who do not have special needs. And we always like to give people language around here. And if I'm out talking with people, people say, do normal kids go there? And I like to say, I am not normal. I don't know a single person that's normal. So we say typically developing children. So with that combination in our population, incredible things happen. So we serve children 6 weeks old all the way to 21 years of age. So like I mentioned, we're an accredited private school up through kindergarten. So you're getting high quality early childhood education with very small ratios. We have 3 adults in every classroom. So if you're an infant and you come to special care, we're a school for tiny humans. So you're going to have 8 students to 3 adults, because children with special needs, they need that extra attention, and it makes all the difference. So whenever we have our people going through our early childhood program, they graduate at kindergarten, they go into our after school programs. So we partner with Oklahoma City and Edmond Public Schools. They bus to us. Many of our students come from those 2 districts, and from around 2:30 on, we are lively, and our big kids are coming off the bus, and they are with us until their mom, their dad, their caregiver, their foster parent can come and pick them up. We're year round because our families have to work. When there's a break, like for the summer or fall break that's coming up, our kids can't stay at home. They have to be able to be somewhere safe and cared for and loved on during the day, so their caregiver can go to work. And then the last piece of our program is we have on-site therapeutic services. So here at Special Care, we offer physical therapy. speech therapy, behavioral therapy, and occupational therapy. So parents don't have to take off work to pick up their child who may need services. We were talking about how important it is, for our kids, it makes all the difference to receive those services. But our therapists are here, they're embedded in our program. They can come in and say, oh my gosh, is this specials time? Are they having such a great time? And we'll come back another time. So our students get above and beyond what they would get outside of our walls. So this is a pretty incredible place.
It sounds like it. Sounds very holistic. And I don't think I was aware that there were educational opportunities. You talked about School for Tiny Humans. 6 weeks. Wow.
Yep. Tiny humans.
Tiny.
And we teach per child here, not per classroom. So, we say tiny humans, 6 weeks old. We have individualized lesson plans for those 6-week-olds, all the way up to our kiddos that are 21. And what happens often is if you're a child with special needs, you come here whenever you're in an infant classroom. And then we end up celebrating your high school graduation here in our after school program, which is pretty amazing.
So you've had folks go from 6 weeks all the way through high school.
We have, and usually our infants, if you have special needs, you're not medically sound enough to typically enter a group care environment until after 1, because you're either undergoing heart surgeries or you're immunocompromised. But gosh, we had a big celebration of some of our kids that have been here since they were toddlers this last year. They graduated, and so whenever they graduate, we have a big walkthrough and a big clap through to celebrate their time here at Special Care.
Fantastic. And Jamie, Kelly, both of you, I imagine it does cost these. This is going to be a segue to you, Renee. It costs money to go to these places. Is that not right? What are some things that parents might need to know about how to apply and how to fund their experience at your schools?
Well, I will say, as far as our Trinity parents, I spend a lot of time talking with parents. I help out during our crazy admissions time in the spring because it's kind of overwhelming. So I do help out. I have an opportunity to talk to lots of parents. And for probably 95% of the parents that walk in our building, private school was never in their future. That was not the family plan. And they usually have 2 parents, 2 working parents, other children that are going to school. They like to put them on the school bus and families go to school together. So this is a huge commitment by these families. And it's heartbreaking that they have to try to figure out how they're going to work and get their other children to school. So we have never celebrated the Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship more than we have over the last 10 to 15 years. It was yay. I mean, we were out there supporting lobbying efforts and everything to make sure that that stays in place and we can help more students, because truly, and honestly, I have to back up and say, the public school system is doing a fabulous job with kids in the special ed department. They are working their tails off and trying to help as many kids as they can. But the reality is, some of these kiddos, they just need a little bit more. And especially a lot of our kiddos that are on the spectrum, they need to be immersed in a classroom with mentors and peers that maybe what they're experiencing is different, but our little kiddos that are on the spectrum can look at those kiddos and they're great role models in the classroom. And you don't get that unless you can truly be immersed in a real traditional school environment, which we offer at Trinity. And the scholarship program has changed the life of countless Oklahomans. And I hope and pray that we can continue to offer that to kiddos, and also to, there's the Opportunity Scholarship Foundation that helps students too, that don't come from the public school system and need those funds, and they're able to use them to go to a school like Trinity. So it just kudos to all those people that are out there making that happen. But I'd be remiss if I didn't, tip my hat to all those great special educators in the public school, because they are doing the best they can every single day.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, at Special Care, I completely echo everything Jamie just said. I think some of our first conversations are, have you heard about Lindsay Nicole Henry?
Yeah,
have you heard about that? Because it's such a game changer. One of the many things that I love about Special Care is we're not just here for the families who can afford us. We're here for the families who need us the most. which also means we have a big waiting list. So I just wanted to say this out loud. And it's not chronological. It's based on need and classroom composition. But we accept DHS subsidy, childcare subsidy. They've been an incredible partner in what we do here each and every day for decades. About half of our students are on DHS childcare subsidy, but the quality of program that we provide here at Special Care, it goes beyond that subsidy. So then we go in having to subsidize that subsidy, if that makes sense. So we're so grateful for programs like Lindsay, Nicole, Henry. We're grateful for our friends at the United Way, for everybody who gives and fills out a pledge card, because we accept donations from the community to help provide these services to our kids who fall through the cracks. And they do need the extra help, and especially for our tiny humans who are going to be entering the public school system. We want to get them as ready to learn, early intervention, all the things that will help them be successful outside of our walls. So we're just incredibly grateful.
Fantastic. This is the moment, Renee. I want to know everything about the Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship. This is what parents, I may have to put in the description. Go to the 20-minute mark so that parents can find out about the scholarship. Tell us about the application process. How did it get started? And what do parents need to know about this?
Yeah, so, well, Jamie and Kelly, I think, really both hit on it, which is I've heard two words that are really key in the work that I do as well, which is game changer and life changing. So the Henry Scholarship, the Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship, is state law in Oklahoma. And so many people don't realize that, which is why the work that I do, which is grant funded, is so important to try to share information about the Henry Scholarship. So again, state law, but been state law since 2010. So, I mean, we reflect on that and think this kind of impact and this legislation has had, again, a transformational opportunity for kids and families for the last 12 years. So what the heck is the Henry Scholarship? The Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship allows a qualifying child to apply for a scholarship from the state of Oklahoma. An education voucher is what they will receive that lets that child move from a public school over to an approved private school. So the, two folks that I have the privilege of being here with, there are 83 approved private schools today across the state of Oklahoma that are approved to serve Henry Scholars. And you've got two of them here on the podcast this morning with Special Care and also with Trinity, that are so important to serving students who have unique special needs and disabilities. So if I can keep going, the original way that the law was passed in 2010 was that it was specifically addressing a child who has special needs or disabilities that are defined on an IEP or an individualized education program, and also had attended a public school a year prior. And that had success, but of course, our lawmakers saw the need to help additional vulnerable Oklahoma children. And that was where, over the course of the last 12 years, there's been expansion of the Henry Scholarship in terms of other categories of children who qualify and are eligible. So let me run through those really quickly. And we've got these on our website for sure. But the first one is going to be, as I said, just to reiterate, a student who has an IEP, an individualized education program, who attended a public school the year prior. Every child who's been adopted out of foster care in the state of Oklahoma is eligible for the Henry Scholarship. The third category is going to be every child who was or is in an out-of-home placement through state DHS custody foster care. In addition, we have very strong military presence here in Oklahoma, so our legislators also saw fit to address their needs. As a military serviceman or woman moves here to Oklahoma through a formal change of station order, either from out of state or out of country, and their child also has an IEP that defines a special need, they too can participate in the Henry Scholarship. The last two are going to be students who were served by Sooner Start. So different than the insurance, which is Sooner Care, but Sooner Start is our earliest intervention for our very youngest Oklahomans. So birth to 36 months. It's a program that leans into help those kids be successful and if there is an identified special need or disability at that very earliest stage. And then finally, the last category is a young person who is in an out-of-home placement through the Office of Juvenile Affairs. So 7 categories, 4 of which require an IEP. And then again, that allows that parent or guardian to make application. If a child is approved, then they receive that education voucher and they can move over to one of these approved private schools. And they are across the state of Oklahoma. In some communities that perhaps people don't necessarily always think of and go, you know, they're going to all be in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And that is not the case. About 20 or so, 20 some of the schools are located, if you say an Oklahoma City proper address. Another 20 or so are going to be an actual Tulsa address. And then think about all of the communities that surround those big metropolitan areas. And then in addition, you have communities like a school in Muskogee was recently approved. There's one in Miami. There are 4 in Enid, Bartlesville. I was in Bartlesville recently. There are 3 approved schools in Bartlesville. So it's important as well for families who are not just within our big metropolitan areas to realize that the Henry Scholarship can be an opportunity for their student as well.
So let's say that we've caught the attention of a parent who says this scholarship could be right for them. How did they get started with the application process, and what are the deadlines like?
Sure. So the work that I do is really twofold. Primarily is I answer a bucket load of questions from parents each and every day. I'm answering questions about eligibility, exact things that you're talking about. And then the other really important piece is I will provide to a parent or guardian and a complete roadmap of what they need to do. So the link, of course, the program, as I mentioned, is managed by the State Department of Education. I provide a link to the application, a link to a form, another form that needs to be filled out. That's 2 pages that facilitates payment. Every student who applies must have a letter of admission from one of these 83 approved private schools. And then there may be some additional paperwork depending on the eligibility area where a parent or guardian is applying for some additional paperwork, may or may not. So I work with them just to provide that complete roadmap, which boxes to check, and try to make it easy for them and to help help them to work through the navigation process. The other half, Ryan, of your question was about deadlines. So again, this is state law, and state law defines that every year, the deadline, the ultimate deadline for the Henry Scholarship every year is December 1st for each academic year. So let me give you an example. So this year, it's going to be December 1st, 2022 for this academic year. So this academic year, of course, is the 2022-2023 academic year. And so December 1st. So to take part, to make an application to be eligible for the Henry Scholarship is going to be December 1st. The parents and families that I work with, I'm often or always encouraging them, if possible, if you're just learning about it, it's not possible, but if you can, to make application during the summer months. And that allows a family, first of all, they know where their kiddo is going to be attending school. That's kind of solves that. And they start out the beginning of the school year at the school that they desire. But moreover is that the fully funded scholarship award amount can be realized. It is prorated after the school year starts. So that's an important piece. But yeah, definitely December 1st is the ultimate deadline. Any applications received after that get pushed to the next academic year. So the next fall, 2023-24 academic year. And one other really, really, really important point, and they realize this at Trinity and Special Care, when a student is approved for the Henry Scholarship, state law also says that a student through a reapplication process continues to benefit year after year from the Henry Scholarship until one of 3 things happens. That student graduates from high school, they turn 22 years of age, or a parent or guardian says, you know what, my child, I would like them to go back to the public school and be served in that way. So the Henry Scholarship is a trade-off. It does, a parent who takes the Henry Scholarship for their student, particularly if they have special needs or disabilities, they do forego all of the services, the special education services that are available to that student by law through the public school system. So that's why these specialty schools like Trinity, like Special Care, like Town and Country, and a number of others across the state of Oklahoma, it's really important. And always encourage parents and guardians to make sure that their school that they have in mind, that private school, can really meet the needs of their student, and then they have a really clear conversation about that as well. That's super. It's all about that child, and making sure that they are served educationally to the best ability, and that they have every opportunity to thrive and succeed where they are.
Let me ask one final question for our panel, which is the first panel, which I appreciate everybody being here this morning. Renee, let me start with you, and then Kelly and Jamie, if you'd comment. So we have this running deal on my weekend shows where it's safer to talk about religion and politics in Oklahoma than education. Talk about religion and politics at the table, it's going to be much more civil. One of the issues that happens in Oklahoma is that a lot of people will get their news, and misinformation starts to spread from places on the web, that sort of thing. There's also a special session with they're handing out some ARPA money. We got a regular session that's going to be divisive in the spring. This is going to happen. So Renee and Kelly and Jamie, what is the thing that if you're a legislator, there'll be a brand new one coming in this spring, things that may have been said about your operations, or more so just what you're doing in terms of the big education discussion, anything that stands out to you that's frustrating when people talk about what you do, that's just simply, well, we just need to correct the record, make sure people understand where we're coming from. Renee, would you start, please?
Well, I think first and foremost is that the Henry Scholarship is a beautiful opportunity for vulnerable Oklahoma kids. And there are not enough students and that's why I appreciate the opportunity to be here. There are not enough families that realize and recognize what the Henry Scholarship is and how long the state law has been available to them. So that's a really important piece. For families who are benefiting from it, and I'm sure, Kelly and Jamie can speak to this. As I said at the very beginning, it's a game changer. The concern, of course, is that, every child is unique, every single one. I mean, when you have multiple kids, you look at them and you go, where did you all come from? Because you're so different. And yet you're mine, you're so different. And so creating more opportunities and the ideal would be that more families have an opportunity to have something like the Henry Scholarship for their child, regardless of whether or not they are currently within the 7 eligibility categories that are Henry. And certainly there's a lot of other vulnerable Oklahoma kiddos who are not addressed by the Henry Scholarship. For example, children who have a 504 plan, which is completely different federal law than a child who has an IEP. A 504 plan is an accommodation plan. They are not eligible for the Henry Scholarship. And so, it's still a vulnerable Oklahoma kiddo, but again, they're not eligible. So a lot of those kind of considerations are the ones that come to mind for me.
Kelly?
We serve some of the most vulnerable kiddos in our community. And, our philosophy is we see children as children first, not how you move, not how you communicate, not how you sound. And our kids don't always fit into boxes that are pre-made, and so they need different options. And as we mentioned, we're here for the kids and families who need us, and we're grateful for programs like Lindsay, Nicole, Henry, because these families couldn't afford us for if we were just straight tuition. It couldn't be possible, but our kids wouldn't succeed outside of our walls without the type of intervention that we have right here. We're serving, oh gosh, I was trying to think, Renee, as you were going through, we're serving at least 3 types of children that you mentioned in your qualified. We have a significant number of children in the foster care system. We serve a lot of children with trauma, and that's on top of all of our children here with identified special needs. And we have 200 children. So this is truly a game changer. And so schools that are made for children who fit outside the box, it's an incredible benefit to families. I can even speak to Jamie's organization at Trinity. My godchildren go to Trinity. A lot of our students that graduate from Special Care's kindergarten program, they go on to Trinity because we stop at kindergarten. And so we all work together to support these vulnerable kids and their families. And they're doing big things because of the interventions and the types of support we get from people who look out for kids who are different.
Jamie?
I think one thing I'd like to set the record straight is certainly as it pertains to Trinity is we feel like we're a partner with the public schools in Oklahoma City. We have a great working relationship with Superintendent McDaniel at Oklahoma City Public Schools, and we want to be that partner, and we're not in competition with a public school. We want to be that outlet where children, when they aren't getting quite what they need, they can come to us, and we celebrate being able to send our kiddos back to public school, to be with their siblings, to get on that bus and go with their neighborhood friends to school. And if we get a student in here soon enough and we can work with them, especially when it comes to like reading therapy and remediate them, we are so excited when those kiddos can go back with their siblings. So that is one thing that I would like everyone to know, that this is not a public versus private competition. It's really first and foremost, let's get these kiddos in here. Let's meet them where they are. Let's give them what they need, and let's celebrate their success, whether it's in our doors or they graduate with their siblings in their neighborhood school. And that's really what we're all about here. It's all about the students and their families and how we can do the best for them.
Well, thank you all. Jamie Luallen with Trinity and Kelly Dupuy with Special Care, whose name I nailed twice. Okay.
You did it.
Yeah.
You did it. Well done.
And Renee Porter with the Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship. It's great to have all three of you on, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Welton, what are your thoughts from that first panel?
Well, I think the most important part of this for parents are some of the practical steps that they would need to take. I mean, identifying that these schools exist, knowing how to go through the process. I think that there is just you talk about the funnel of marketing, awareness, interest, consideration. I think for a lot of parents, they might not know that these schools exist, and also to hear it verbalized that it's not a competition between private and public schools, that it's about providing individualized educational opportunity to kids who need it.
Excellent. Okay, we're only half done with our presentation today. So let's bring our next panel. Lucia Froling is with Scholarships and Opportunities. She's the coordinator there at ECKO. And Lucia, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. I would say it's my allergies, but it's not. I'm definitely a little teary after listening to Jamie and Kelly.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. All right. Sarah Guardiola. Okay. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. So pleased to be here. It's wonderful to see so many of the schools that we support being highlighted. What they do is invaluable to Oklahoma.
And you're with Opportunity Scholarship Fund. So glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And Kathy Roark with Town and Country School. Good to have you. Good morning.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here this morning.
Glad to have you all. All right. It is time for Mr. Welton to lead off. Brian?
Thank you very much. To start our second panel, I think we start from top right to left. And Lucia, if you would tell us about, not Lucia, let's start with Kathy, actually. Let's start with the school. Town and Country School. Tell us about Town and Country School. Where are you located? And how are you different from other schools? What is Town and Country's specialty?
Well, Town and Country is located in Tulsa. We have been a specialized school for students with learning differences for 60 years now. We just celebrated our 60th birthday. We like to joke that we are one of Tulsa's best kept secrets, because even though we've been around forever, people seem to be surprised that we're here. But we are a school. We support students from 2nd to 12th grade. All of our students would have the equivalent of an IEP in a public school. So they are all have a diagnosed learning disability. I've lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I keep going through all the things that I heard from Trinity and before. We seem to be very, very similar to that. We are a school for students who have had an IEP. We work with very closely with Lindsay, Nicole, Henry Scholarship. We have about 74% of our students who are on financial assistance of some kind. We're a language-based program. We work with all different types of learning disabilities. Like I said, I've been around for a long time.
Right. In my notes here, I see that part of the program's philosophy at Town and Country is about helping to build the students' self-esteem and motivation. Is that kind of a differentiator for Town and Country?
It is. You know, we say that we are not a school for students with behavior disorders, although there are a lot of that comes along with learning disabilities. So we do spend a lot of time focusing on social and emotional, as well as academics in our school. We have a program called Zones of Regulation, as well as Superflex in our elementary. And the Zones of Regulation is a social emotional program that works from second all the way through 12th grade. It helps the students really learn to identify their own feelings and things that cause them anxiety, and what best work for each student individually to take control of that, and to calm themselves, to be able to focus themselves, and to identify what's causing it and what they can do to help themselves work through it. So we do work a lot on social emotional well-being of our students, as well as the academics.
And how do you get the word out there to parents? Because I could see parents all across Eastern Oklahoma, if they happen to stumble upon this video, saying to themselves, boy, that sounds like that could be something that my child needs. How do you spread the word?
Well, we try and get out in the community. We have a lot of fundraisers. We do a lot of community events. We have a website, tncschool.org. We've even thought about taking out billboards before,
Right.
trying to get the word out. We are, our school is actually located in the middle of a neighborhood. And so we feel like we're hidden away. We don't have big signs out on the street and things. So we use a lot of word of mouth from parents who tell other parents. We work with a lot of our counselors and things in town that help spread the word to students that they feel might fit our population of student. So we try and reach out as best we can.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a lot of students from across the state? Does anybody like move to Tulsa so that their children or child can attend Town and Country?
We have, yes. We have actually had students move from out of state to come here. We've had parents drive from Bartlesville, Mounds. We actually had a parent, I can't remember right now what city they lived in, but it was a couple of hours drive. So they rented a house in town during the week and would stay here and then drive back home on the weekends so their student could come to our school. So we do, once they find us, and we have a lot of people coming from out of state who have heard about us that come visit our school and take tours before they move here. So yes, we do bring a lot of students from around the state as well as some out of state.
And forgive me if I missed this at the beginning, but is this a school where people go for the entire length and breadth of their education, or do at some point do the parents in the school decide, I think at this point the student is ready to be acclimated back into public school? How does
We
that
do
work?
both. Yeah, we serve students from second all the way through graduation. Our high school students do. We work with them on where they're going next, whether it be to a junior college, a four-year college, or into the work program. We work closely with TCC, the VOTEC programs around here. And we also have connections with OU, TU, OSU, so that we can help our students go there as well. We do have students that only are with us for a few years. They might need some help with anxiety, or we do have a lot of, like Trinity was talking about earlier, students who feel bullied and who are having a lot of social issues, and they need to get away for just a couple of years. We work with them on finding their strength, finding their voice. And then when they're ready, they go back and join the public schools and visit, and like she said, get back on the school bus and go to school with their families and friends. So it just depends on each individual student. We do have our graduating class is growing each year. We started with one graduate our first year and have moved, and I think we have upwards of 15 to 20 now that are graduating per year. So it just depends on each student.
When you said finding your voice, it put a little chill on the back of my neck. I mean, it's so, I can't tell you how many messages we get both into the News on 6 and News 9 Facebooks and text and email about parents who are just at their wits' end because their child is being bullied at school. It's just before I forget, you mentioned a program. It just has a very cool name, Superflex. It sounds like something like the kids would be into. What is Superflex?
It's for our elementary kids, and I'm afraid I don't know a lot about it, but I know that it's a way to put sort of like a superhero character on some of the things that our kids might be facing. I know one of them is rock brain. So when you have a child who just can't move past something that's causing them a problem, it's a small deal, but they're just super focused on it, and you call it rock brain. And one of your superheroes, you have to take on their personality and be able to break through that and move on with your day, with your lesson, with playing with your game with your friends. I wish I knew the names. I apologize, but it is fun. It is a fun way to put superheroes let the kids take on that persona in order to block or break through things that might be causing them anxiety or social issues.
That sounds fantastic. And it's periodically rock brain. That may become part of my vernacular. That's a lot.
We use it a lot. Even us as adults will find ourselves in the lunchroom talking about, oh, I had rock brain this morning, or I felt like glass man. I just couldn't get past that. And so it becomes a part of our language and a part of the way we see the world as well.
I think it's very important in terms of relating to children, is sharing some of the same language and putting names on things, and it just helps with communication. Of course, parents who might be watching this video, they're going to be thinking about, well, okay, I think this could be a good fit for my child, but this is going to cost money. And we talked about the Lindsay, Nicole, Henry Scholarship previously before. We've got Sarah and Lucia here. Talk about the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. So does Town and Country, is it a multiple scholarship type deal, the Henry Scholarship, working with Opportunity Scholarship Fund, working with ECKO? How do parents get financed for something like Town and Country?
We definitely work with all of them. We also have financial assistance through our school ourselves. So we have about 74% of our students that are on financial assistance of some kind. I know that we serve a lot of families who really can't afford it. But just like she said before, we really want to reach those students and accommodate and make a way for it to be possible for those students to come to our school. However, because they need us, they need the type of situation that we can provide. So we reach out to everyone that we can and partner with them in order to make it possible for any student that needs us to be able to make it. So we do have multiple opportunities for financial assistance, all of which are listed on our website. We also have a director of admissions now who can answer all of these questions. And she's just a phone call away. So we love to work with everybody.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned the term opportunities. This is a good segue to you, Sarah, and the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. One of the things that I find very interesting here is that this isn't just an opportunity for parents to send their children to school. This is an opportunity for individuals and businesses to get involved.
That's correct. That's correct. So the work that we do at the mission side of it is that we provide scholarships to low-income families across Oklahoma, and we focus on pre-K all the way through 12th grade, providing access to private schools. And a lot of our schools that we serve, there's over 70 of them across the state, but the schools that we serve all hit very specialized populations We have a school in Oklahoma City called Missions that works with children with addiction issues. We have a homeless school, Positive Tomorrows, Happy Hands, Little Lighthouse. So we're hitting these very unique populations with our scholarships to their schools. But the neat thing about this is private donors, whether they're individuals or they're organizations, give to the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. And underneath our umbrella, we have all of these schools that operate like programs. And the donors have a special heart for Trinity or Town and Country. And so they designate their donations specific to Town and Country Scholarship Program. And then Town and Country is able to take those very generous gifts and give them to families in need. But what is unique about our fundraising program, it kind of sells itself. So normally when you give a donation, you get that charitable contribution both on the state and federal level. But what's unique about us is that we offer tax credits, that dollar for dollar program. So when you give to Town and Country or to Trinity, you actually receive tax credits back. So it's a win for the donor. It's a win for these students who are receiving access that they wouldn't normally have. And these schools are able to increase their enrollment, increase their services because of this. And our program is also neat because from an individual perspective, you can get 1,000 back in tax credits. If you're filing jointly, it's 2,000. But if you are a business and you are passionate about supporting our students and not the systems, you can actually receive $100,000 back in tax credits. So it's a robust program that serves everyone across the state.
And in terms of student eligibility, forgive me if you already touched on this. What do parents need to know about eligibility, deadlines, some of the small details, how to get started?
So first and foremost, they need to be enrolled at a school that is a member school. All of our member schools are accredited through the State Board of Education. That's how they can become. So anyone that's accredited can be member school. So if you are a family out there that has a student that you could really use that scholarship, get in contact with us because we are constantly growing our school base. So they need to be enrolled. They need to be a legal resident of Oklahoma. And then they need to fall under one of these three criteria. Do they have an individual education plan? Do they have an IEP? Do they live in a zip code where the State Board of Education has determined that their district is in need of improvement or failing? And finally, is do they fit under our income eligibility? In other words, if you're a family of four and you make at or below a certain threshold, then you're eligible. And what's neat about our eligibility program is it mirrors Lindsay, Nicole, Henry, in that once you are eligible until you graduate or turn 21, whichever happens first. And then our legislators, when they created the statute that offers the tax credit benefit, saw beyond just the initial scholarship and said, you know what, having families split between several different schools is incredibly challenging. So once one student is accepted into the program, all of the siblings are automatically eligible to receive scholarships as well. And that's the same thing for them until they turn 21 or graduate. So it's robust.
Deadlines. Are there, I think with the Lindsay Nicole Henry, it was December 1st, but she recommended applying in the summer. What about with the Opportunity Scholarship Fund?
So we're a little bit different than that. Each of our schools are their own entity, right? And so they determine when scholarship applications are applied. So parents will go to the school, they'll enroll, and they'll say, we are very much interested in looking at financial aid. That school has some deadlines that they set. They go through their personal criteria, and then they direct them to our website where the parents create an account and fill out a one-page piece of information. They upload 2 documents. And once they do that, they're in the system to receive an OSF scholarship. And what's pretty neat is because we're so flexible and we're so nimble, we issue scholarships every month. At the end of each month, we issue scholarships. So just to give you perspective, though, from January to right now, we've issued over 800 scholarships in the amount of $2.2 million. For the month of September, I'm getting ready to issue just under $800,000 in scholarships. So each month, other than at the very end when we're doing our fundraising, every month we issue scholarships. So for us, there's not a deadline. They can apply and enroll at any time. It's the schools that may dictate maybe that eligibility timeline piece.
Lucia, it's last but definitely not least, because Every Kid Counts Oklahoma sponsors Beyond the Bell, and you are the Scholarship and Opportunities Coordinator for ECKO. So tell us a little bit what that's about and how you're involved in this entire ecosystem.
Well, thank you so much for asking. I am the Opportunities and Scholarships Coordinator at ECKO. I'm also a Master IEP coach and a parent of 2 children with learning differences who attend a school that was featured here today, that it best fit their needs. And then we have 1 child that's in public school. So we are a family that believes every child is different, and whatever educational pathway that they need, it varies from kid to kid. So the blessing that I have is being able to work individually with families to let them know about different scholarships that are available to them, about different opportunities and resources within the community and other nonprofit organizations, as well as letting them know about different educational pathways, because it could be public school and just needing some more support. It could be a private school that's specialized, a charter school or a homeschool. There's a micro school. There's so many different opportunities for families, and you don't know what you don't know. So I have the blessing of being able to share that knowledge and really walk alongside them, because I'm sure, as everyone on the show today can attest, when your child is diagnosed or you suspect they have a learning difference, you don't know where to start. So I help families navigate the entire IEP process from start to finish, from getting their child evaluated, writing parent concern letters, and even attending IEP meetings and 504 meetings and doing observations to help make sure that it is child-centered, because that's how all of these schools operate, is being child-centered. And whether it's child-centered in the public school or child-centered in the private school or another learning environment, that's our whole purpose, is focusing on every child to make sure that they have every opportunity to thrive and become the person that they're intended to be. So it is incredible. I get the honor of working with everyone that's been on the show today and letting parents know that they exist, and ensuring that parents know that you're not alone in this, because it feels so isolating and not knowing where to start. So parents can reach out to me to get assistance at parents@everykidcountsok.org. We also have resources on our website. They go to everykidcountsok.org and go to the resources tab and parent resources, because some parents just want to look at the information and navigate the IEP path on their own, and others really want that individualized assistance. And I'm able to do that. And there's no cost ever to families for using those services, which is unique, because typically you have to pay for an advocate to help you. And I try to be a different kind of advocate. I don't believe in compromise. I believe in collaboration, because compromise insinuates someone's giving up something. And I don't believe in that. I've worked with wonderful public school educators that have gone above and beyond to ensure that that child's receiving what they need. And I've also worked with private schools and seen it for my own children, the game changer it is when they are being taught the way that they learn. So that's the elevator pitch, I guess, of what I do. And it's incredible. I absolutely love what I do, and it's my passion.
Hey, Jamie, can you throw a thumbs up if you can hear me back there? Oh, okay. I'm going to bring her in for a couple of questions here. Thanks for staying backstage for this one. Okay?
Sure.
Because Kathy, this involves you too, and we were talking about the schools. This week, the U.S. Preventive Health Service, part of HHS, recommended that every American be screened for anxiety. I don't know if you saw that story, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been some guidance.
I believe it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been, they did this for students earlier, but Jamie, you and Kathy have schools that specialize in working with kids with ADHD, attention disorders, those sorts of things like that. My middle one, who's on the brilliant scale IQ-wise, having ADD, who's incredible. In all the years we were so many places. She's wonderful. She's a nurse now, but so many people. There were so many ideas. So difficult, right?
Mhm.
So that's a while ago. Now we've got the anxiety that has happened with COVID, and it's, Ryan and I've been working on these special streams with COVID, which began 3 days after the Jazz Thunder game was canceled. I mean, that's how long ago this started. All right. So I was wondering, for Jamie and Kathy, for folks that are working with the parents that have kids with ADHD, attention issues, and then you've seen what's happening now with the federal government saying we got to screen. We should screen. These are doctors. So we should screen people for anxiety, because this sort of thing, if it's not detected, could last for decades in people's lives. Give us an idea of what you're seeing right now. And if you're seeing in your opinion, you're seeing the anxiety and also attention deficit issues getting better or worse. Just give us the elevator speech about what you're seeing and any advice that you could give parents that are dealing with these issues right now.
Kathy, you want me to jump in there first?
Go right ahead.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of our students come with a little bit of anxiety anyway, just because they've been made to feel different and they know it, especially if they get here about 3rd or 4th grade. So we've always dealt with that. And then with the added COVID issues, it has definitely elevated. And we work with kiddos. We have small group social skills classes, and a lot of it appears during those classes. Our licensed counselor that's on staff, she does group therapy with our older students. So it is a serious issue, and we do screening, and we work with it on a daily basis, almost as much as we do on the academic piece. Kiddos have been through a lot over the last couple of years, and we as educators have to deal with that, as well as teaching them how to read and do math. So I totally agree with the studies that are out there, and it is really rampant.
I completely agree with Jamie. We have definitely seen an increase in the anxiety in our students. The population that we work with, again, like she said, they've been bullied. They know that they have a learning difference of some kind, and so they already feel challenged and different, and that raises their anxiety level. We do the same. We have a counselor on staff that works with our students. We have speech pathologists that go into the classrooms 2 or 3 times a week and work on social skills and ways to deal with high anxiety situations for our students. We work with parents. We have parent nights where we work with them, teach them about our zones of regulation, which is our biggest ally in dealing with our students' anxiety levels, is teaching them how to identify it within themselves so that they can try to identify what causes it for each student, because it's different for every kid. So we do, and I agree, it is definitely worse since COVID. You take these students with social emotional issues already and isolate them, which is the worst thing that can happen for them, and then throw them back into schools again, and they don't know how to deal with it. So it is something that we work with on a daily basis.
So we're just put everybody back on. Kelly, I just asked her, can I bring you back on this? You wanted to weigh in on this.
Yeah, we're seeing significant mental health challenges just across the board. We always, pre-COVID, we operated at a high level of concern because we have a lot of kids that are immunocompromised. And especially at the beginning, we didn't know if this was going to be fatal for a lot of our students. So we had to do a lot of things. So that impacted our population. But what we're finding now is counselors. There's a huge shortage of mental health professionals that are willing to work with children. And those who are willing to work with children, they are so backed up that it is almost at a crisis mode. So, our children who have special needs, even for our typically developing children here, it's hard to find a counselor. We have partners in the community, but if families need to go and have regular services, wait lists are, months and months. And if you're in a crisis right now, you need to see somebody. So that's a huge challenge. So I don't know if any of other school friends are seeing that as well outside of here, but it is a major challenge. And all of those mental health, challenges impact the classroom. Other children can feel it. It adds to staff retention. All those things are so critical. And I think it's another opportunity for our kids to fall through the cracks.
Well, on that happy note.
Thank you
Sorry,
for
Scott. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan and I have been working this all this particular time. In the early days of COVID, Ryan and I when we'd be doing these streams with Dr. Bookman, he would be answering questions, mental health questions about, he would take questions from our audience about, well, my blood pressure is this is my O2. Remember in the early days, Ryan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it would get very micro.
Very micro, but there was so much fear and anxiety during that time. If you transport yourself back, it was frightening in the early days, not only for what we didn't know about the virus, but number two, what we economically. I mean, it was, there's a whole discussion there. So that is something that I think probably in the general population, also with our legislatures, they come to town. You just brought up, Kelly, some of these issues that need to be done. They're trying to enhance the nurse workforce in the state. I mean, workforce development is a big issue right now. And so if you have a crisis right now, it takes that pipeline, takes a long time to fill. So.
Well, Scott, if I may add one extra thing, we noticed the increase in trauma and fear and a whole bunch of other issues that our children were struggling with. And we were getting calls asking, hey, I need to switch my child immediately from this learning environment. I need to find another place. And at the time, our schools had maxed out their donations. And so I went to our board and I said, look, we have kids in crisis that need immediate changes to move from where they're at into a safer environment. And thankfully, my board approved that. And so we now have a specialized fund specifically for children who mid-year, at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, who need to immediately move because of bullying, mental health issues, or otherwise. There are funds set aside just so those parents can help bridge that gap to get them into that safer environment, because we saw the increase just over the last 2 years. So it even affects scholarship programs as well.
It does.
Okay, Renee, could you give me a thumbs up if I can bring you back in? Okay, let's everybody get in on this. Thanks for staying back there. Anything you want to add on this conversation, Renee?
Well, I think the thing that stands out is, Ryan posed the question about legislative, legislative considerations moving forward and for these programs. And I think the kind of how this is wrapped up is truly evidence of the need for, more unique programs, more innovation around education, and offering families and parents the opportunity to be able to look for and to have avenues to explore these things whenever it's your child and your child has a need. They're all different. And so our ability to be able to customize and offer a child a safe space, a safe educational learning environment is just paramount. And incumbent upon us to continue to advocate for these things. So that's really kind of what was resonating with me as I continue to, hear this in the dialogue and kind of how we wrapped up. So I appreciate the opportunity to get added back in. And then also the last thing I'd love to say is that, I am, like Lucia highlighted, she's a free resource. I'm a free resource as well. And so I'm delighted to connect with any families that are out there. And our website has a form to fill out, which makes it very nice for me to be able to get some information about a family. Our website is LNH for Lindsay, Nicole, Henry, lnhhelp.org. So reach out that way, Facebook, whatever avenue you find, but delighted to help and support our families and kids across Oklahoma.
And I'd like to add to that point that most people watching this won't know, but Sarah and Renee and I all work in tandem together. And so if someone reaches out to one of us and the other one can assist them, we all work together as a team. And I just wanted to touch on anxiety as a mom who has a child that is at a school that teaches her the way that she learns, the difference it has made for her. She's dyslexic and dysgraphic. Both of our children with learning disabilities are, and she also has epilepsy. So she was in the public school environment and just wasn't being taught the way she learned, and did counseling for 2 years through the public school system, which was an amazing program. But her confidence was shot, and she was going into 4th grade, and just the way she talked about herself and her anxiety was off the charts. And it was heartbreaking as her parents. And so being able to put her at the school where her twin brother was at, where she's taught the way that she learns, has been life-changing for her. And we feel as her parents has changed the trajectory of her life for our son and our daughter that are at their school. They, just full disclosure, they do go to Trinity school, and it has been a game changer for our family. And the shift it has made in her, with not even 9 weeks into school, has just been amazing. So I think it really speaks to what special care and what Trinity and Town and Country and schools like them do, meeting a child and being able to offer them those social skills and individualized care, and getting to the root of the anxiety, and being able to help them have the tools in their toolbox to really self-advocate and understand what's going on in their little bodies and their brains.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like we just got started, Ryan.
Completely agree. I mean, I so many questions, so many opportunities to help parents, and I will be sure to add as much information as we can, because after this is done, it will still be available on Facebook. We'll post this to news9.com and news6.com, and we'll any links that you want to put in the chat there, I'll make sure and get into the story.
Hey, Ryan, can I just say one last thing?
You bet.
We can't help everybody that comes into our school or makes a phone call, but we have an incredible team. And I would like to just shout out to our counselor here that if we do come across a parent that we can't serve for whatever reason, we spend almost as much time with those families trying to find the best avenue for them and get them help they need, that we may be able to help them someday. So I would just encourage parents that if they want to talk to someone, and if it means we can't serve them today, that we won't just say no. We'll hopefully head them in the right direction so they can get the help that they need.
I think this has been a terrific discussion. And by the way, thanks. We brought the entire first panel back. This makes me think, Ryan, we just throw everybody in. It's just that great dynamic from time to time. And there's been some folks mentioned, and I think, Jamie, you've hit it on the head. I mean, we're all in this together, and made that shout out to Superintendent McDaniel. I mean, there's a bond issue coming in the future there that's going to be discussed a lot. And the only person I don't have on here this morning, Ryan, that I wish we had was Dismukes. Jeff Dismukes at Oklahoma State Department of Mental Health. I'll send this to him. Okay. Let him watch this. And Dismukes always has an answer for it. So he always takes us to school. But that is exactly what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with things that are barely getting into the media, that are issues. If you don't read the New York Times or some things like that, you don't see these issues sometimes. But the folks that are on the panel today are dealing with those every day. And as a result of what happened with COVID, and it's still going on. If you look at the numbers, Ryan, we're back to talking about hospitalizations and all of those things right now. So,
Right. Well, we'll be going through the process of different variants for, when it goes from pandemic to endemic. Endemic starts with the word end, but it doesn't seem like there is one.
Right.
No.
probably got to get the Fab Four back together. I'm looking at you, Dr. Bookman. Okay, so to give us an update on what's happening there. Well, for all our guests, it has been a great and terrific conversation today. I really hope that folks will take a look at what's been said. We'll be putting those links in there, and I'll get back over here to where I need to be. And for Brian Welton, I'm Scott Mitchell. Thanks so much for watching this stream. We're back in 2 weeks. Is that correct, Mr. Welton?
That is 100% correct.
All right. So from all of us here at Mitchell Talks News 9 News on 6, for Ryan Welton, Scott Mitchell, and our panelists today, have a wonderful weekend.